Hi, I'm Dr. Mel, and I'm on a mission to discover the people creating the biggest impact in our communities. Together, we'll meet the people behind the vision, see lives being changed, and celebrate the good all around us, because seeing the good is where change begins. Hi friends, I'm Dr. Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for this episode of Seeing the Good, where we learn about what is going on behind the closed doors of the nonprofits in our communities. Today we are visiting the Children Advocacy Center, which is actually located in Dallas. So this is the Dallas Children's Advocacy Center. And we're going to learn more about what they're doing, how they're helping, and how they're serving our community in the areas of child abuse and trafficking. So thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you inside. Hi friends, I'm Dr. Mel, and I'm sitting here at the Dallas Children's Advocacy Center, and I am with Irish Birch, and I'm excited to sit with her. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, I'm really excited to unpack just a bunch of different facets regarding you and what you guys are doing, but I'd love to start learning just about you and your history and what brought you to this. Do you call it an industry, this area of nonprofits?
Yes, we call it an industry. It is the child abuse, child advocacy industry, yes. So this is the way that I always explain how I got into this work, is I truly have always believed that every child should be safe in their home. And what I realized in my life is that every child was not. And therefore, this organization exists because of that reason. The reality is you want children to feel safe when they're at home. You want children to be safe in our society, and unfortunately that's just not true for all children. It's true for some, but not for all.
As a young adult, how old were you, and how did you know? Like, what was it that you didn't question it?
So in my junior year of high school, I won a scholarship to attend community college, and I had to write my first college essay. And I selected child abuse. I will never forget, I'm looking at the topic in the encyclopedia. There is a young teenage African-American male. They have a picture of him on an autopsy table, and he had been beat to death. He had bled out into his muscles. And so for me, it just was the saddest thing that I think I'd ever seen before in my life. And I knew that it was something that just pulled on my heart. And I said, okay, I'm going to go to school and I'll major in social work or counseling, whatever will get me in the field. After I came out of college, I worked at a shelter for a few months, and then I moved to Child Protective Services. So I worked as a CPS investigator for a number of years. Because of that job, I landed at the Children's Advocacy Center. I was a CPS investigator, and I needed to come to the Advocacy Center to watch a forensic interview. And when I saw the process, I knew that I was like, oh, this is the job for me. And shortly thereafter, they had an opening for a forensic interviewer. And so that's how I got my foot in the door here.
It sounds like you never had to question. You didn't really have the, what am I going to do with my life? Because you just knew.
Yes, I just
stepped into your destiny early.
Yes, I just knew really after seeing that picture of that young male. I just could not comprehend how someone, one, how you could die that way, but also how you could die at the hands of a loved one.
Yes.
Like that was unfathomable to me.
Yes.
If he died, that means he lived a portion of his life in fear, because it wasn't just that one incident. So then what can you do in order to help prevent other children from being in that space?
Okay, so can you tell us a little about the inception of DCAC and where it began, how long it's been around?
The birth of this organization was the brainchild of a retired lieutenant. He at the time was the lieutenant over the child abuse division, and so he was charged with his detectives and his units in working child abuse cases. And what he realized in all of the different things that happen when you have a child abuse case, you cannot work those cases in silos, but there were so many moving parts to it. You have law enforcement doing one thing, CPS doing another thing, and the two were not talking to each other. And then what is happening is you have a family that's caught in the middle.
Yes.
And so they're just having to go back and forth, and they're being shot back and forth, ping pong like.
Right.
And so what he learned is about the process. Bud Kramer started the very first National Children's Advocacy Center in Huntsville, Alabama. So he was a prosecutor that came up with the CAC model, because he was the first person that said that he was a prosecutor. Better way to work these cases.
Right.
We have to do better. So our Lieutenant Bill Walsh found out about what they were doing in Huntsville, Alabama,
Wow.
and really brought that concept back home and said, like, we have to do better about how we work these cases.
Right.
And we have to create a safe space for these children so they don't have to go to the police station. So you're not interviewing them in patrol cars. He took it and he ran with it, and thus was born the organization on Swiss Avenue, 3611 Swiss Avenue.
In your being here, can you share with me just a hopeful story, like something that you've experienced that's very special?
There was a case that we got a call for where it was a homicide case, and it was also two siblings who had been sexually abused by the perpetrator who had also committed the homicide. So our detectives needed someone to come in, needed the forensic interviewer to come in. I came in their place. The perpetrator had killed two of the children. They were preteen little boys, and had killed the mother, and then in the process pretty much tortured the two sisters, as well as sexually assaulting them. That case took a toll on everyone.
Yes.
It was very hard to conduct the interviews of the two girls, but then also just the things that they were able to share. It's just things that you couldn't let go. And one of the things that we do and provide, because we know we're exposing individuals to this type of trauma when they come into this work, we always have a debriefing session, and we had a psychologist that came in at that time and worked with our team to kind of help us process it. And so for whatever reason, I was struggling, we're talking like 6-7 months later, I am just going downhill, and my team members saw that. And one day the CPS worker came upstairs and got me, and she said, I need you to come downstairs and see something. And so I was like, okay. And so I went downstairs, and it was the two girls who had been in therapy the whole entire time. And when I tell you, they were the most bubbly, they were happy, and they were excited. We were talking, and when I saw what our process did for them, it was the thing that helped me to be able to come out of my grief and be able to move forward. But they were only at that place because of what we do, because of the collaboration, because of the therapy, because of us coming and wrapping our arms around them, and because it is what children are, so resilient. Like, I saw resilience in front of me that day. So that, although it sounds like that was a death penalty case, he was executed. And so for me, that, although it is sad overall in context, but when you see what the organization and the people who put the work and the time into this family, what they were able to help those girls live through, and their family members, remaining surviving family members, that to me is a true demonstration of why you get to do this work. And then you get to see that child after they've come through therapy running down the hallway for graduation, because we have therapy graduations for our children, and once they and the therapist determine they have met that threshold and they are ready for graduation, that child, that therapist, that family, we all line the halls. We receive an email that says graduation has happened. So we get to see that. You get to see how they came to us, but then you get to see the transformation. There are sad things that happen to children before they get here. This place is a place of hope.
So the average age is 11 that you guys service.
It's an 11-year-old girl who is abused by someone she knows. 95% of the kids know their abuser.
And how long did you say it takes the average person to go public, to let them know? How long did you say?
So
that have been going on?
76% of kiddos don't tell for over a year.
Over a year.
And it drops to the 40s is over 5 years.
Wow.
And there are some people that never tell. I will start with before we existed. Because a lot of people are like, well, why can't police just do this? Why do you guys have to exist?
Right.
It's because before CACs were formalized, a kid might tell their teacher about something that happened.
Okay.
Teacher is not prepared to do an interview with a kiddo of this nature, and so they say, okay, let's go talk to the counselor.
Right.
So then they're telling a second person. Then they say, okay, let's go to the principal's office. When do you normally go to the principal's office? When you're in trouble.
Right.
So now you've not only told 3 people, you're calling law enforcement to get involved. So a police officer might show up in full uniform with a gun on his hip. Really scary for a kiddo. Scary for a lot of adults.
Yeah.
And so again, he's someone that you associate with being in trouble and sane.
Right.
So once you start telling police officers, the investigator, detectives, all of these people, kids were telling their story up to 8 times. So what we were seeing is either kids going, you know what, actually it's not a big deal, and recanting.
Yep.
Or we were seeing defense attorneys say, okay, well, you mentioned a trip to the beach over the holidays with this person, but not this person. They were using the telling of the story multiple times to find inconsistencies and use it against the kiddos.
Wow.
So now, instead of having all these people interview the kiddo, they come to one place. Our people are highly trained. They ask developmentally appropriate questions. They ask non-leading questions, and they ask open-ended questions. So that way it truly is the kiddo telling the story in their own voice, and it's more legally defensible in court.
I know about the process just from my background, but I had never thought about, okay, a child's telling this 8 times.
Yeah. So they're
then we have
reliving the trauma.
Yes, and the shame attached to that, like if they're like with the police, like all that, or guilt, or like, okay, then I'm not going to say anything.
There are about 30,000 cases of child abuse reported every year in Dallas County alone. And that comes either through a report made to the Department of Family and Protection Services, or it's to law enforcement. So all of those filter through us, and then we take the ones that rise to the criminal level.
Okay.
Meaning we can take this and we're going to prosecute it.
Okay.
So anything that is sexual abuse in nature, always criminal. Sex trafficking, criminal. Anything that is severe physical abuse or severe neglect comes to us. And then if a kiddo were to witness a violent crime, like a homicide or something of that nature, that means they need to be interviewed, but they need to do it in a safe space, then they come to us too.
Okay.
So last year we served 12,296 kids.
Wow. A child comes here. How long are they here? Like, what does that look like?
So kiddo comes and does the interview. That can last, if it's a 5-year-old, 5 minutes.
Okay.
If it is a teenager who has a lot to share with us, it could be done in couple-hour chunks.
Right.
We might say, hey, this seems like it is getting to a point where it's hard to talk about. Let's maybe continue this again tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll do 2 parts.
Okay.
So we do what is called a trauma screening. We have people on staff who are just dedicated to doing this. We screen for trauma symptoms.
I will say, when you walk in the building, it feels very safe. And calming and welcoming and non-threatening and not sterile. It's very
we want
warm.
it to feel very child-friendly, right? As best that we can. I mean, I think that people often have, you know, their own preconceived notions about what they're going to walk into here, right? When we're dealing with children that have been a victim of abuse. But it's our job to make them feel as comfortable as possible when they're here, so that they feel like this is a safe place for them to share their story.
While we're in here, will you kind of explain, like, okay, I come in. What am I coming in here to do?
Kiddos are brought in here. Maybe there is a breakthrough in therapy that they had, and we want to give them a gifty for that.
I love a good reward.
You know, we love a gift system. Or they might be graduating, and they want to get some toys for graduation. This is also, if a kid is being placed in a new environment, let's get you some things to build out that environment for you.
Yes.
This is the old space we were in.
These are some of the pictures inside the house on Swiss Avenue.
So like gorgeous and historic.
Yes,
like,
beautiful.
So this is where law enforcement and then CPS, if needed, sit. CPS is involved if there is an immediate threat to the safety of the household. So they would be in here too. It's important to us to always have law enforcement here because we want to make sure that we're getting what they need to move forward with prosecuting a case. So our team always starts by doing something to just put the kiddo at ease. You know, this is a new person, it's a scary environment, they're going to talk about something really hard. So they build rapport and then they ask only open-ended, non-leading questions. Because again, we want to make sure that this is their own words, not anything that we're suggesting, and that it's legally defensible in court.
One of my questions is regarding trafficking. Or have you seen things grow in that area here? What do you attribute it to?
I think the reason you're seeing a rise or more of it being televised is because now DPD has a sex trafficking unit, and it's relatively new. So I think there's been a lot more concentrated effort and dedication to that space. And I definitely have seen a lot more pop up in the news and the media because we're catching them. This is the therapy wing.
Okay.
We have 16
How cool is that?
therapists on staff.
Music.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, while we don't do a lot of what you probably have heard is called play therapy, we can't unlock them, right?
Yes.
And so having this type of interactivity and play, quite frankly,
Totally.
helps
That's
them
exactly right.
relax.
Will all these rooms be filled this afternoon?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it's different in every room.
So can I ask you just about nonprofits in general?
Yes.
Because you've been in this industry for so long. As far as just us wanting to learn about nonprofits in general, what to look for, what to be aware of, what to gravitate towards.
It is really getting out to see that nonprofit. It is physically going into that space, not just going by a website, not just going what you see at an event. It really is taking that step to be involved. How can you volunteer? What are the opportunities? Do they allow for you to come on the inside? Are they an open door? And are they wanting to share that information? The other thing would be really your critical information about transparency. So how transparent are they from a public standpoint? We are very accountable for our 990s on our website, to making sure that we have our information updated on GuideStar. We have 6 board meetings a year. They get a financial overview of every single thing that we're doing. And so we don't have anything to hide. And we are also very forthcoming with donors, with community members, if they come in and ask questions.
So one of the questions that I like ending with is, in the midst of all the pain, all the suffering, turmoil, all the hurt that you're seeing, which I just witnessed some of it today, how do you continue to see the good in the midst of true hardships?
It is coming to work and seeing the children. It is seeing the families. It is seeing the staff, because that family is here for their isolated incident, and the staff are here every day, and they are smiling, they are happy, they have this energy that says it's going to be okay. And it is because with all of the work that we do, with all of the research behind the work that we do, you know what you're doing is equipping someone else to go out into society and be better. And so for me, that continues to help me to see the good, because we intervene, we're able to empower you, we give you the tools and the skills that you need, and then you go out into the world better than what you were when you came here. And so for me, I can continue to see the good in that every single day.
So I bet you're wondering, what is Seeing the Good? Seeing the Good is a web series that I'm creating where I'm highlighting the good that people are doing in our community, and then we're going to bless them. So in this series, we are going to spotlight about 6 nonprofits, learn about what they're about, where they came from, what they're doing, even in the financial realm, and how they are impacting lives on a daily basis. So join me, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and then together we're all going to have a say on how we are going to bless them from the Leela Meacham Fund. I'm excited for us to see the good, do the good, and be the good together. Thank you for joining me.